Hey, everybody, this is Josh McKinney here, and I just want to welcome you to the next episode of Suckless Saturday. Today, we're going to be talking about the biggest problem facing the evolution of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu today. And I guarantee it is not what you think. Okay, guys, I told you today on Suckless Saturday that we are going to be talking about the biggest problem, in my opinion, facing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu today. And so, probably a lot of people think when I say that, like, they think I'm talking about like protecting the art, sport versus self-defense, right? Or whatever. Just that is what I'm going to look at as the biggest problem facing the evolution of jiu-jitsu. Like, oh, all these self-defense guys, they don't want jiu-jitsu to evolve and they're trash. Or I'm going to say like all these sport guys, they don't know anything about self-defense, right? And so that's going to destroy jiu-jitsu. But it's not that. It's neither of those. It is it's a hard thing to verbalize, but this is probably my best way that I can communicate this. Is right now in jiu-jitsu, the techniques are becoming so overwhelmingly complicated, right? So overwhelmingly complex. And the training methods are staying the exact same. It's amazing to see the progression over the last like 8 years of jiu-jitsu, like the progression in technique, right? And the word system, we use the word system in jiu-jitsu all the time, but that's actually becoming something different than, if taught right, different than a series of moves or a singular technique. People are actually learning to create true systems in jiu-jitsu that you can put somebody in and they have a very limited number of answers to a specific position. And then you can like know all of the responses to how they may answer, right? People are doing that, but people are training the exact same way that they've trained for years. And I'm not saying everybody is doing this, but an incredible majority of the people are doing this. If you go to a jiu-jitsu class, pretty much anywhere, what you're going to run into is the same thing that everyone has done for the last 30 years. And there's nothing wrong with doing the same thing that works. But there is something wrong with never simplifying and never digging in and deconstructing and saying, what is it that we are doing that works and what is it that we are doing that doesn't? Because something interesting is I'll look to the blue belt level, and I think that this is probably where, at adult at least, where you would see this the most. You'll probably see it a lot at the other levels for the master's division, but we'll just say blue belt adult. If you look at the blue belt adult level, there are splits of guys. There are people that train full-time, twice a day, 3 times a day. That's all they do. There are also people that are still in school, that are still working. And you always look at it and say, well, the guy that's training full-time should win, right? But it's not always like that. Obviously, being able to train 3 and 4 times as much is really nice. It's really a great thing. But the amount of time training is not does not necessarily show how good you are. The amount that you train does not necessarily show how good you are. And I think one of the biggest reasons is because our training method. There is so much wasted time in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've expressed my hate for warm-ups to you guys. And if you guys have never heard that, just let you know, I think warm-ups are a waste of time. The reason I believe they're a waste of time is because we warm up when we are drilling techniques. Most gyms you go to it, you have to do like 15 minutes of warm-ups or more, where you're like doing push-ups and you're doing all kinds of random crap. Dude, I've never done a push-up in a jiu-jitsu match in my life. Okay. But people love to waste the first 15 minutes of class by doing that. And then we start drilling technique when we would be warm from drilling technique to start rolling, right? I'm not against the actual act of like making your body warm. I just think that it's stupid to go to jiu-jitsu class and do calisthenics. It's my opinion, right? The reason it's my opinion is because it's right. But that's neither here nor there. The big thing that we're talking about is that these techniques are becoming so advanced, but the way and the methods that we learn them are not. They're staying the same. And I don't think that the answer, and this is, again, my belief, this whole podcast, every episode is my opinion, but my opinion on this is that we will not find the answer to fixing training methods in making them more complex. I believe that we'll find the answer to better training methods in simplicity. And I think something else to note is probably when I say training methods, most people don't even know what that means. Like, what is a training method? We just train. You know what I mean? It's great. I love just training. Just training is one of the most fun things in the world to do. But for progression, there are ways, there are different methods, there are different mindsets that you can use, even if we are just rolling. Okay, so for example, one of my one of the mindsets that we've talked about on my show before, we call it the end goal method of training. I can do live rounds, but by focusing on an end goal position, an end goal position is generally a submission, right? We can make an end goal position taking somebody's back or something like that. But by going into that mindset, what happens is I'm able to simplify my training much better, because now I'm not fighting a bunch of different things. Let's say I only want the Kimura. And so I'm only rolling for the Kimura. That is my whole goal. Anytime I am in bottom side control, my goal is to get out so I can get to a Kimura. Anytime I am on top trying to pass, my goal is just setting up getting to a Kimura, whether I'm trying to pass the guard and get it from side control, or whether I'm trying to like do the rolling Kimura, like guard pass type things. But that's my goal. So it's a very simple, it's a pass fail. Did I get the Kimura? Yes. Then I did good. Did I miss the Kimura? No. Then why? Why didn't I get the Kimura? Nobody goes in with training methods like that. People just go into roll. And so just by having different training methods, you will get so much better at jiu-jitsu. And so for the next few months, that's going to be something that I'm really going to focus on, is explaining some of the different training methods that I use. You know, if you guys want more on the end goal method, you can just go to episode 1 of the podcast. And that is still, to this day, the most listened to episode because it was titled really well. I need to get better at titling episodes. I feel like it was very clickbaity. It was like the best method on training jiu-jitsu or something like that. Kind of how this was the biggest problem facing jiu-jitsu today. The clickbaity stuff works. Don't say you guys don't love it. It works really well. It gets you into an episode, and as long as there's good content in an episode, it wasn't a waste of time. It would have sucked if I didn't tell you guys what I felt like the biggest problem facing jiu-jitsu was. That would have been hilarious. I should do that. I should make some episodes where I'm like, this is the one way that you can pass everybody's guard, and then talk a bunch about what guard is, but then don't tell you how to pass the guard, just so then people are mad, and then people are like posting about it. Man, I'm a genius. I should start a podcast or something. But back to the main point. That's the big thing that I think needs to be focused on right now for jiu-jitsu, is training methods. If you disagree with that, if you think that there's something else that we should be more focused on in jiu-jitsu as a whole that we're missing in jiu-jitsu, you should let me know. I would absolutely love to know what you think is kind of the idea. What is your thought of the biggest problem facing jiu-jitsu today? But that's my opinion. That's what I think is the biggest problem facing jiu-jitsu today. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope that you guys follow the podcast if you don't. And I hope that you guys suck just a little bit less at jiu-jitsu.